They don't play defense. And the Warriors' 9 losses, they're averaging giving up 125 points a game.
Yep.
And their losses last year, they averaged giving up 105 points a game. And their 6 wins, they give up 109. Well, we can win some games, Skip, giving up 109 points. You're not going to win very many games giving up 125 points.
No.
Phoenix shot 51% from the three. They went 21 of 40 from the three-point line. Chris Paul didn't even play. and DeAndre Ayton might as well not have played. I don't know what's going on with him, Skip. I mean, he had Steph Curry on him in the post, and the man shoots a 12-foot fadeaway.
But
Steph
you
Curry,
know and I know he didn't want to be there.
Doesn't, still don't want to be there. Skip, I mean, Steph gives you 50. He was 17 of 28, 7 of 8 from the three, and the Warriors still get beat 130 to 119, and they got like 8 of those points with like 30 seconds to go.
Yep.
What's happened there, Skip, and I've said this, Skip Kelly's not the same player. And he said, well, give me time to get back. You do realize, Clay, that you're getting older. You're getting older.
Plus, you're coming off 2 horrendous surgeries.
Thank you.
2 big ones.
It's not like somebody's like, man, Clay. You're not the same offensive player. You're not the same defensive player.
Once you got the Achilles, you got a problem.
Man, very few people have been able to come back from that injury.
Yep.
And definitely not in their 30s and come back and be what they were.
Agreed.
Skip, you know, and the young guys that they were counting on to take that next step.
Yep.
They sent James Wiseman back down to the G League. Moody and Kuminga hadn't lived. Steph Curry has been sensational. He might be playing as good as he's ever played his entire life.
I buy that.
Is that saying something?
I buy that.
Wiggins is still giving you Wiggins-type numbers. Draymond is hit or miss. Draymond might give you one game. He might give you 2 points, 12, 13 rebounds, 12, 13 assists. And then the next game, he might give you 4, 4, 4 across the board. So you don't know. But the one thing, even when we were lauding them for playing beautiful offensive basketball, they could play defense.
Always.
They could play defense.
That was their unsung calling card. That's who they really were. They were a defensive basketball team.
They can't do that now.
Nope.
Steph is averaging 33 points a game on a 53, 45, 93. 53% from the floor, 45% from the three, 93% from the free throw line. And them jokers don't even come close to winning a game on the road.
0-8?
So the question is, Skip, that the Warriors are going to have to ask themselves, with the way Steph Curry is playing, are we willing to package some of these young guys that we were hoping to be successful to keep this bridge, to keep extending this bridge out? Are we willing to package some of those guys and bring somebody in to help Steph Curry and the Warriors win another championship?
Yep.
Or are we just like, hey, it is what it is. Hey, this thing's going to run its course, because Steve Kerr did say, hey, we know this thing's coming to an end.
Yep.
It might be this year, it might be next year, but this train is about to stop with the core players as we know it.
Yep.
So that's the question, Skip. What are we going to do? Are we going to, like, Steph, you're doing unbelievable, bro, we ain't going to be able to do nothing to get, help bring somebody in.
Yep.
Or, because, Skip, I just don't, and I just like, well, the Warriors always start slow. Nah, this ain't no start slow. This ain't no start slow here. This ain't no NBA championship hangover. They just can't get stops when they need stops. And Steph, as much as he's playing, you can't expect the man to go get you 19 every night in the fourth quarter, Skip, and pull it out. He got, 47, 40-something the other night, and got 17, 19 in the fourth to win that game. He's playing as well as you can play. The man had 31 and a half, and you were still down. Even with the 50, Skip, you're getting beat by double digits.
So, Shannon Sharpe, what if I told you before the game that Steph Curry would go 7 of 11 from 3? And what if I told you Andrew Wiggins would chip in with 4 out of 6 from 3? And what if I told you that Clay would give you 3 threes on the night? And what if I told you Draymond would chip in with 8 assists? What would you say? You'd say, I give you a pretty good shot of being 1-7 on the road, because I think you, and again, there's no CP3 for the other team.
Right.
You'd say, okay, I think you got this one.
Right.
They don't got it, because they gave up, as I watched this game because I was in awe of Steph, especially in the first half. He scored 31 in the first half with some trick shots. There are a couple of shots down the lane.
They tripped him and he threw it up.
Under, and he just throws it back up with some reverse spin on it and just sort of greases it in for an and one. And I said, well, that's just too good.
Right.
He's out of his mind. He had a couple of heat check misses, but he was out of his mind.
Yes.
31 in the first half, and it felt like he could get 70
Yes.
if he really wanted it. And they trailed because they gave up 72 points in the first half.
Yeah.
They are disinterested in playing defense. The more Steve Kerr yells at them, the less they try on defense. And yet, here's the nuclear indifferent maker. Who was the victim of a preseason punch thrown? Who was the victim?
Oh,
it was Poole. It was Jordan Poole.
He's been terrible.
Wait a second.
He's been so inconsistent.
Jordan Poole came in last night. Last year, he was the nuclear difference maker off the bench because he's a nuclear mismatch. When he comes in, what are you going to get? Well, you got nothing. He went 0 for 5 last night, 0 for 3 from 3 and scored 2 points from the free throw line. That's it. You can't. Maybe he could have offset the lack of defense.
Well, Skip, that's why you gave him that big contract, because we saw what he did last year in the regular season. We saw what he was in the postseason.
Yep.
He hadn't been close. I mean, he's been really inconsistent. I think that's the thing that we can say, because in the starting lineup, he plays well. He comes off the bench in that role, and he's not playing so well. The question is, Skip, unless he gets some consistency to help the scoring load with Steph, but it doesn't matter. You got to stop somebody. You can't keep giving up 70 pieces in the first half and think you're going to win a bunch of ball games.
Nope.
That ain't happening.
They have fallen to 27th in defensive efficiency, and they're now allowing 12.8, just call it 13 points per game more this season compared to last season when they finished second in defensive efficiency.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. And by the way, against the Suns, the Warriors gave up at least 125 points for the 6th time already this season, the most through 15 games of a season since 1982-83. So they're setting records, bad records defensively.
And Skip, you remember in the 80s, it was routine for teams to score be 153 to 147 or 160 to 155. Nobody played defense in the 80s. They were up and down the court. This right here, I'll have you asking questions, what's going on with the Warriors? Because same thing with the Nets. Skip, even Steph Curry, as great as he's playing, because now if you have an off night, you get beat like Memphis beat somebody last year by 50 or 60. So what happens if Steph doesn't give you 50? You're going to get beat by 40 points last night because look at this, double digits, all starters. Every starter from Phoenix, double digits, 3 guys in 20. Cam Payne had 29.
He did.
Cam Payne.
He played very well. He is really good.
Mikal Bridges was lighting it up from 3.
Well, look at Steph. You score 50 and you're a minus 14?
Skip. I mean, but you look at Skip. The Golden State was 17 for 17 from the free throw line. They was 43% from the 3. They was 46%. But you can't overcome 51% from the floor.
No.
53% from the 3.
Can't. So Steve Kerr said after the game, it's a pickup game out there. No certain commitment to the group to get 3 stops in a row to execute on offense. And then he said, we lack collective grit. We're playing a Drew League game right now, which means it's all offense and no defense. They have become a Steph-alicious sideshow.
Yeah.
That's all they are.
Yeah.
I just tune in to see what he's going to do.
That's all
right?
I'm doing. I'm just watching Steph.
Okay.
I'm like, damn. He might get. I was thinking like, but I thought he was gonna get 60 last night. The way he was going and the effort, it's not like he was taking a bunch of. It's not like he had shot 25 times at the half. I'm like, oh, he gonna get 60 tonight.
Once upon a time, Klay Thompson was, to my mind, the best two-way player in the league, which meant every night he would take whoever your best guy is, especially if they're a perimeter player, and would take him out of the game. He is now shooting a career-low 35% from the floor and a career-low 33% from 3. He's a career 42% three-point shooter, so he plays little to no defense anymore, and now he's becoming a liability on offense, and he's getting more defensive by the night after the games because he's firing back at everybody, saying, who's just missing me, watch this. He's shooting back on Twitter, and he can't back it up.
Right. And it's Clay, we understand. It's not a knock on you. But injuries and age will rob us all of ability to do something.
Absolutely. But speaking of injuries and age, I was very surprised before the game that Steve Kerr would publicly acknowledge, he said, it can only last so long. We have this year and maybe next year, and that's going to be the end of the dynasty.
Yeah.
But he said it could end this year.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I don't know if he's trying to call his team out, but,
no,
but to me, it's such a negative message to send when Steph is still even though he's at the back end of his prime, he's still in his prime.
But Skip, I'm not finna keep paying $300 million in luxury tax for his title. I'm just not.
Well, they're playing like a team that won its title, and they're coasting along through this year.
But Skip, how many titles you think you're going to get? You got 4 in 6 years.
Yeah, but I mean, they were so hell-bent last year to say, watch what we can do without Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
And they did that.
They did it.
And it's over,
Yes.
and they got it. And now it feels like they're resting on their laurels.
But we always, look, Draymond wanted a contract extension. We felt that, Skip, you can only pay so many guys max. You gave Andrew Wiggins $100+ million. You gave Jordan Poole $140 million. Steph's making $230 million. Clay's making $100. How many $100 million guys can you have on the team?
Yep. And finally, biggest picture to me is they had what most people acknowledged was the best culture
Yes.
in the NBA.
Yes.
And it got wrecked and rocked just before the season started because suddenly your team leader busts your up-and-coming next new star right in the chops during a practice.
Yeah.
And they haven't gotten up off the mat over that.
I don't believe so either. And they said, well, stuff like this happens all the time. Maybe so, but how many times did it happen in your organization?
It just doesn't. And
Skip, that's the question.
And then you brought up, and it got leaked by whom, how, why?
Well, we already know.
Okay.
We already know how that thing got leaked.
All right.
They wanted to paint Draymond with, and then Dray.
Yep.
I think Draymond's going to be the odd man out. I've always felt that. But they leaked this to make Draymond look bad. Man, how else it was going to get out?
Okay, well, that's dissension in the ranks, man.
Yeah.
When the locker room's looking sideways,
Yeah.
like, well, what are we doing here?
I bet if you ask Draymond who leaked that, I bet he'll say the same thing.
Yeah.
He won't say it publicly, but he knows who leaked it.
Yep, I agree.
I thought they was going to do an investigation. Have the investigation come to a conclusion? Have they found out who did it? Some rogue intern went rogue.
I don't know, but I know it's early, but it feels late.
Yeah.
That drama's still unfolding, Shannon, that investigation. Steph, though, did say last night that the Warriors are struggling to find a period where they can have sustainable success to build good habits. Doesn't sound like things are good in Warrior land right now. Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Subscribe here to get the very latest from Skip and Shannon. Plus, go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.